Hello, I'm Mark Baer. You're watching the YourTown television program. My guest, artist Andrew Jackson. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, let's start with the new show.
All right. It's at the Marjorie Evans Gallery at the Sunset Center. Big time. Really excited about it. It's the hallways of the Sunset Center, and I have 32 original paintings. And I was able to borrow back a couple that had sold, but no one ever saw, since I have a studio at the American Tin Cannery in Monterey, and have a rent obligation, so they went from my easel to a happy home, and I'm able to borrow those back and show my best work. So it's a complete show. One piece is from 2007. The rest are from the last, I would say, 3 years, most of them in the last year.
And then how many new pieces that you to finish out the show have you been like going nuts on?
Well, it was a last minute cancellation. I saw a post on Facebook, and they said that local artist Margot, she put it out there if anyone had enough work, and I had just been turned down for a show on the East Coast, so I had my prospectus ready, and they said, "Do you have 20 to 30 framed paintings?" And I said, "Sure." I had about 8, so that was and I actually accepted and said I could do it on the July the 18th, my birthday. So I figured everything's a sign. I went for it.
Yeah. So the pressure of, okay, so I love this, and I think every artist rises to this occasion. You're having a show, and you always want the newest new, because it's
sometimes,
yes. Because if you can get there, the newest new. Yeah. And so what's been the rush of this of finishing up these last paintings, and where's it going, and are you seeing something new in the work?
For me, the pressure is basically what do I want to do, and so this was a chance to show what's been rattling around in my head for. I usually paint a painting for years, and then execute the painting in a week to 10 days. But yeah, some old thoughts and some wants, some dreams, and I have this new way of being where I'm in the best shape of my life, because to combat stress and pressure, I chop it up in the swimming pool. So I've been swimming 10 laps a day since my birthday. Definitely, I've missed 3 days, but it keeps my mind clear, and I'm able to let it come right through me. But everything is just new. It's my desires to share with the world. I show Monterey through my eyes. I take apart a scene, disassemble it, reassemble it the way I want to share it, and that's the artist's job.
And you're still excited.
Oh, I love it. Love everything I do.
Yeah.
I'd take them all back. If I win the lottery, I'm buying all my paintings back. Don't care.
So, I'm a story collector, and when I worked at the museum is when I first came in contact with you, and I've been collecting some of your stories ever since then. And you told me once about, and we talked about it in art, it's always about the leap of faith.
Yeah.
And it's not always a very rational leap of faith.
No, never.
But it is the leap of faith. And so you told me how you suddenly had this money in your bank account that you didn't know where it came from, and you decided to go to buy a trip to Hawaii before that was discovered. Let's tell that story.
All right.
I love this story.
I was, at the time, moved here from Anaheim, and I was getting by. I was learning. I was actually taken in by John Mason as sort of an apprentice, but sort of a kid that wouldn't go away. And,
tell who he is a little bit. Let's.
John Mason is a fourth-generation local artist. He's incredible, and his paintings are exactly how my imagination and dreams see the mythological world. And I saw his work. I was just stopped in my tracks. I always loved art, Dali or something. Every teenager loves Dali, and but his work was just, it glowed, and I'd never seen the trick with the dimming of the lights, but he nailed it. and he would talk to me about his teachers and how he had been his ancestors and how Carmel had brought him up. I had grandparents that showed me around Carmel and introduced me to artists my whole growing up. So he just saw in me that I wasn't going away, and he started to show me, let me look over his shoulder, and that was a great opportunity. But he did tell me about Lauren Adams, and that's what the story about Hawaii is. And Lauren Adams had where Simic Gallery had, and he would play a grand piano in tails and top hat and have an easel. I'm sorry, where the music stand is, he would have a painting, and he'd paint in the window. I mean, it's just like, you know, you imagine whatever you want to. It's amazing. So I wanted to meet him, and they had just a falling out. I never pursued to ask why. So I went to my bank account. I was living in a teepee or in my car. I had an RX-7, so I couldn't sleep in that, so I slept around town. And I went to my bank. I knew I had $40 in there, and I went to pull out $20 for happy hour food, and there was $10,040 in there.
So how old are you again here?
I was 20, almost 21.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, I had a PO box. You have a code and you have an understanding how to get by. Otherwise, you're foolish. So you learn how to not to be foolish, and that comes through mentorship and learning from asking and being curious. So I was safe, and I let that $10,000 sit there for a week, and I figured that's bank error, obviously not my money. But I did call. I said, "Hey, Dad, did you send me any money?" He said, "No, what's wrong?" And then I called my mom. Did you send me any money? No, what's wrong? And so I stopped asking questions. Everything's fine. Of course, they thought I was living in an apartment, not in a bush. And so I decided, the definition of adventure, I've always appreciated it. It says to risk one's life. And that sounds, first take sounds dim, like you're risking your life. No, you're risking your life as it is. There's a change available to you when you accept true adventure with all the risk. So I took out $1,500, and it was very scary. And I was wearing shorts, a bag big enough to carry a Thomas guide, which back in the day, that's how you found your way around. And I went to Maui, and I looked in the paper. I found an apartment for rent. I went there. It was rented, but the guy, I told him my story. I'm here on a quest to find my teacher's teacher. And he said, well, my hammock's available, and you can have that for $40 a week. And it was avocado grove, and I was able to eat all the avocados until I couldn't keep them from running straight through me. And I started asking every gallery in town, where's Lauren Adams? And I'm just, I was who I was at the time, an adventurer and a little crazy. And the door was closed everywhere I went. It was just strange. And so I kept leaving my number, and I did have a Nokia cell phone. And so I kept pushing. Well, the week went by. I had never been to Maui before, so of course I was having some good times by myself and meeting people and meeting artists. I met Lassen, Weiland, all of them, Nelson, and they appreciated me, that I was going for it. And then finally, the phone rang, and it was a woman saying, where are you right now? I said, I'm in Lahaina. We're in Haiku, here's the address. You're 20 minutes away, we're leaving in 30. I suggest you leave now. And I booked it, There's the opportunity. I was like so excited. And I had taken with me, besides a pair of, 5 pairs of underwear and another pair of shorts, one small painting, and it was the study to innocence, which is, I had this relationship that I had left, and the suffering of being, going on a quest without any security. So this is really meaningful painting. But it had the glowing waves, it had everything I learned from my teacher and some of what was passed down through Lauren. So it was a translation through study of down a lineage. And so we show up. I meet this man, and he shows me his studio, shows me his palette, which is the only thing that's super interesting to me. And
they didn't really want to see you at first.
Well, he thought I was a crazy person,
Yeah.
just like knocking every door.
Yeah.
And they don't know what he wants, and like I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't want anything.
Yeah.
So I just gave him my appreciations. I said, I know you got to go, and this is a gift I'd like you to accept as a student of a student, and just to complete a circle. I go, thank you. And he goes, we're staying. Like he hung out and like he described his, each painting in detail, and he played me his accordion. Like he just burst with music, and told me every artist should learn an instrument. Every artist should be musical. The mind, it helps everything. And I still don't play music, and it was just an incredible visit. It couldn't be more perfect.
So he opened up like a flower for you.
As most great artists are, like they're
If it's the real ask, they're there.
Yeah, and every artist is a true soul needs protection from the world of wanting. They want, and so it was calm. It was just really precious. And then I had to go the next day. There I went. And when I got home...
And then you get home.
There was a letter of exasperating words, and they said, come in. So I walked in. I stated my case. I said...
in the bank.
I thought it was my dad. Put money in there.
Yeah, so this is the bank that wants you.
Yeah,
Yes.
They want their money back now.
Yeah.
Now. And so I said, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. I thought it was my father put money in there. I'm an artist. I'm in a gallery. I'm pretty sure I can sell something. I can replace the 1,500. Here's actually 400 left. And he wasn't very excited about my 400 I brought back out of the 15. And then I went back.
And so let me ask you what you thought your odds of replacing that money were.
It was such a true adventure that I was totally confident, no fear. And it was a trip well done. And there's wrongdoing. And it was a righteous path, though. It was, not to go all psycho, but what am I doing here if I'm not taking like the ultimate risks that aren't life-taking or putting anybody out?
The bank gives you what, 3 days?
Yeah, they gave me 3 days, and I went back to the before bad stuff's happening, and I went to the gallery, and the next day, this couple came in and told me they said, wow, you paint dreams, and we have this wild, I liked your people hidden in the rocks. Long story short, I did the commission for exactly what I owed the bank, and I asked if they could do cash, told my situation. Brought it back in, still no smiles, but I was ear to ear, and completed the mission, and I felt really like I had received a gift.
So you took the leap of faith, and you survived at the other end, and from there you had a life of art.
Down the torpedoes, yeah.
And you're at a point in life also, besides being accomplished at this point, where you're working with Yak and kids, and you're now the mentor.
Yeah.
And what's that giving back to you?
It feels right. I definitely was a different sort of mentee where I wasn't going away, and if you told me to go away, I'd grab a broom, I'd clean the whole, and when there was a no, I just heard a challenge, and I just found a way to, just be respectful of people that had knowledge willing to give, and I asked them, what would be a good path to pursue your knowledge. And so when I work at Yak, I basically, it's listening more than teaching. It's just where they're at and what's coming up for them, and if they're timid about bringing it out into the world, and I show them that it's all welcome. You can't let out all your angels, you'll only be left with demons. So unless you let a demon out once in a while, you're headed for an upset. So all's welcome.
Are you seeing in these kids, are you seeing your early passion? Are you seeing a lot of your early passion?
Some.
Or what's different? What's the same?
I had nothing to go back to. I had been just kind of, my couple of my friends were where I would hang out as I was leading to. I'd get beat up bad by many people, and I just didn't fit. I was never violent. I just couldn't do it. I wanted to connect. And so I left, and I had nothing. I had worked in a factory, so I had savings of $9,000, and I was right on the edge of going back all the time, moving into my dad's garage or something. But nothing to go back, nothing to fall back on, and there is no factory work here. So like, there's nothing but forward with everything I had.
But you fell in love with paint, and that love affair has never let you down.
It's the easiest thing that's ever happened to me. I get so interested, I'm never going to learn it all. So like this, it's the exploratory part of it is like, it's like science, physics. It's just joy.
And you're a huge cheerleader, and you've got a very sharp eye for art that's not necessarily of your genre, but of the bigger idea. And so you've been a cheerleader as well as an artist, which is kind of a cool thing.
I can't help myself from collecting art. I mean, whatever I can afford. There's like, I just love it. And I have a little favorite thing where, I mean, in a museum, I can tell you my top 10 favorites out of a show of hundreds of paintings. I'm really concise in saying that's the one, and I trust my taste. My taste is now, and that's my confidence. I really know what I like, and I can tell you all about why I like it. I don't just say it's a feeling. And
that's I'm so interested in the kind of how pixie dust that one artist has goes to another artist, and how the interchange works, and how the ideas go back and forth, and how and you're going from teacher to teacher, your teacher's teacher, and how that lineage works, and it's extraordinarily interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and when you really offer respect of what somebody's doing on a personal level, you get a true friendship out of it, and it's like a shared conversation in private. And so when you look at another painting and you get to meet the artist, there's just something you can experience through their eyes, and they can explain that it's not the only view, it's just theirs, and they welcome yours. So that's great.
Again, before we leave, when's the date of the show? Where's the show? Let's go over our business.
Let's do some biz. Yes, buy some art so I can keep painting and having a studio and mentoring. But it is open Monday through Friday, 9 to 5.
The Sunset Center.
At the Sunset Center. It's the Marjorie Evans Gallery. It's on the corner of 9th and Mission. And the party is Thursday the 20th from 5 to 7. And I hope to meet you.
I'll see you there.
All right.
You're watching the YourTown television program. It's been my privilege to have the great Andrew Jackson. Cool, man.
Thanks.